Here's the shocking moment. All hell breaks loose as John Kennedy accuses the Arab American leader of supporting Hamas. Obviously, just more of that beautiful, delicious double standard that we all know, enjoy, and love.
Senator Kennedy.
Psycho.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rabbi, do you believe there are a substantial number of people at Harvard University who believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews?
I do.
That's a yes?
Yes.
And do you believe those people have acted on their self-anointed right to harass Jews?
Yes.
And has the administration at Harvard University allowed that to happen?
Yes.
Is that true at University of California at Berkeley?
Yes.
How about UCLA?
Yes.
How about NYU?
Yes.
A lot of other universities too. Isn't that the case?
That is correct.
Now, Title VI says that if you receive federal money, you can't harass Jews. Isn't that true?
That is correct.
Has the Biden-Harris administration taken away the money of Harvard?
No.
How about Berkeley?
Nope.
How about UCLA?
No, sir.
How about NYU?
No.
They've just talked, haven't they?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you think this condoned behavior at these universities, this condoned belief at these universities, and let me state it again, they believe in diversity, equity, inclusion, and the right to harass Jews? It's what they believe. What you do is what you believe. Everything else is just cottage cheese. Do you think that is consistent with their mission as universities?
Absolutely not.
One of the funniest parts about this, and Felix made this point, I think, in the latest Chapo, and I agree with him, is that there's currently actual blood libel being presented by the Republican Party against like Haitian migrants. Okay. There's currently like, a shit ton of bomb threats that are happening in Springfield, Ohio as a consequence of the statements that the Republican presidential and vice presidential candidate have repeated over and over again. Just straight up lies, right? Like calling them vermin, calling them vectors of disease, things of that nature. But what has our Congress done on that front? Absolutely nothing. Congress is too busy writing like 12 new bills that make it so that if you are like a Jewish anti-Zionist protester in a fucking Ivy League institution, you should be killed for saying Israel is mean and wrong. Okay? I'm so glad that that is what the state of affairs looks like in the United States of America. If you hurt someone who is in defense of Israel's feelings, you should be shot and killed. Okay? You should be arrested. You should be shot and killed. All this cool stuff. We should immediately adopt the IHRA definition. Okay? Which is pretty crazy considering that the IHRA definition, you don't have to ban the guy who's like posting John Kennedy's office's phone number. They might have just gotten clapped though because of Fossabot. Yeah. By the way, another part of this is that actual anti-Semitic neo-Nazis are literally marching in the streets of Springfield, Ohio. Actual neo-Nazi groups are sending out flyers. The Ku Klux Klan is promoting the position that is now adopted by the Republican president and vice presidential candidate. No peep, not a peep from the Democrats, not a peep from the Republicans. The Republicans are the ones who are literally pushing these lies. Okay? But hey, We got all the smoke, baby. Let's write like 11 more bills. Let's write as many bills as we can. If you even think in your mind that Israel could ever do something that is wrong, you should go to jail. Okay? I will send you to perma jail. Sick. Sick. Cool stuff. What a fucking ridiculous state of affairs. It's so... I don't even know what to say about it. Like the hypocrisy is glaring. The inhumanity is still somehow shocking because they just like keep increasing the heat. So sick. Israel is a Nazi state, and the United States of America is also a Nazi state. Okay, that's where we're at. Wonderful stuff. Very cool.
Okay, so above and beyond the question of money, it is the morality, the purpose of higher education in America, is it not?
That is correct.
Ms. Berry, you are the executive director of the Arab American Institute, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And according to...
What? Hasan, you look so silly. October 7th, which directly targeted civilians, was freedom fighting, but an attack that directly targeted combatants is terrorism. Isn't this what you want, for civilian death to be minimized? Or is it just you're immoral because I don't agree with you? Dude, I'm so glad I'm white. No weird shit like I've been drunk and the cops let me go on multiple occasions. How does this guy go from this to this? Okay. First of all, I suspect that you were probably in here since you created your account on September 2nd. I live in Rokana's district. There's a lot of Israelis here. I can see why he might not want to be too critical of Israel. It's a sensitive subject for them. Wait, how the fuck did you go from having like... He's saying that what they're doing is not defending itself. They're trolling as a hate watcher. Dude, I will never understand. When I go back, I'm not pro-Israel. Okay, if you're not pro-Israel, why the fuck are you coming in here and saying silly ass shit like, oh, you loved October 7. Okay, you loved October 7. I just had a conversation about October 7 saying that targeting civilians is never appropriate. Okay, it is what amounts to an act of terror. But you don't give a shit about that. Okay, you don't give a shit about that. You just came in hot and you're like, I found a double standard, sweetie. No, the double standard is on your end. Okay. The double standard is on your end. He doesn't care, only wants a clip. Yeah. Dude, March's Discord is always live in the computer in my other studio, in my podcast studio. And whenever this motherfucker gets like a Discord call, I just hear it. Yeah, he's also implying I'm not, because you look silly, prove it. Prove what? Prove what? Prove how many times I have said that targeting civilians is always what amounts to an act of terror? Is that what you're saying? My double standards? I mean, you're just objectively lying here, okay? This is the problem. Do you think that October 7 was a successful military operation that targeted enemy militants and then also some civilians were harmed in the consequence? Or do you consider it to be an act of terror? Because what you're saying is a justification for October 7. This is the problem with people that always fucking defend Israel. No, I think it was an emotion-fueled act of terror. Okay, but when Israel was retaliating with 40,000 fucking casualties, which is like not even a real number that I can use at this point, it's so much worse. Then that is not, like, what is that? There is just no way. There is absolutely no way you can defend. Same thing, emotional fueled act of genocide. Okay, well, genocide is worse than terror. So how about, that's number one, okay? States commit acts of terror on a regular basis. You're criticizing Israel. Great. Good start. Okay, emotion fueled. In terms of what Israel did in Lebanon, this is, of course, an act of terror as well. This is an act of terror. When you are killing indiscriminately exploding pagers of not only military members, okay, that are currently not actively in combat, which is already a violation of human rights, for the record. I know that we've forgotten, but like, if you blow up the fucking pager of a dude who is not actively in combat, especially when they're in a civilian area, that's still a fucking war crime. Why are we even having this conversation? It is an act of war and terror are the same things? No. This is literally a war crime, even if there was no one else around him. Even if Israel knew that there was no one else around them, it's still a fucking war crime. But that's not the case, because it's an act of terror beyond a war crime, because there are civilians around these people, and some of the people targeted were civilians themselves. They were politicians, okay? People who go to fucking parliament. Do you understand? How are we having this conversation? If roles were reversed, okay, and Hezbollah exploded fucking, Hezbollah snuck in explosives into pagers or some other communications device and gave it to members of the Knesset, okay? Members of the Knesset. I truly believe this was meant to affect as little civilians as possible. Okay, answer my question. If Hezbollah gave explosive devices, okay, if they intercepted some kind of civilian communications that Israel is using, okay, it may not be for altruistic goals, but it's true nonetheless. Answer my question. If roles were reversed and Hezbollah was able to explode thousands of phones that are used by Knesset members, IDF soldiers that are not in combat, that are just like fucking walking around in Tel Aviv, and maimed 4,000 plus people, would you consider that to be an act of terror? If they were intentionally trying to avoid civilians, which by the way would still be a fucking war crime. Like, you can't even target retreating troops. What are we talking about? Like, not retreating troops so they can get a better position, but like troops that have laid down their arms. If it were only military targets, I would consider it. Okay, I said members of the Knesset. Members of the Knesset and their children that also died. Would you consider, don't try to change the dynamic. I'm giving you the exact same dynamic that just took place in Lebanon. That would be terror, yes? Okay, so you consider what Israel did in Lebanon to be an act of terror then? So you agree with me? I'm glad that you agree with me. Hezbollah is not Lebanon government. Brother, I don't know how to explain to you something, but you're something that you're just like objectively wrong on, but you should probably reconsider the sources that you're getting your information from, because they're just probably oblivious to basic facts. You're wrong. Hezbollah is absolutely a political party. I think someone either took advantage of your lack of knowledge in the situation. Is Hezbollah the equivalent to the Knesset? Okay, Likud. Hezbollah equivalent to Likud. Or the Jewish Power Party. Likud is very fair game, yes? No, you don't fucking believe that. Shut the fuck up. Wait, what do you mean? Equivalent to the Knesset? Okay, it blew up. A Likud party's fucking phone exploded randomly next to civilians. You already said you consider it an act of fucking terror. What do you mean? Like, you, come on, dude. Come the fuck on, brother. Anyway. Bro, send me the worst possible thing that you can, like, the wiki wand is the absolute worst possible fucking thing to send me. It's like all AI and shit. It's so annoying to be like, this is the Lebanese parliament. For the record, no matter how much I fucking despise the Likud or the Jewish Power Party, I don't think that they should be summarily executed alongside random fucking civilians and their children. Okay, like, you know, that's ridiculous. The appropriate solution, yeah, Likud is centrist in the Knesset. He's basically saying half the Knesset is fair game. I mean, they're right wing. They're not centrist, but we know what the centrist parties are. Centrist parties who are also very much against the ICC and the ICJ's decisions against Israel. So they're all fucking right wing. Ultimately, if you consider Likud to be terrorists, okay, then there's like three fucking sitting Knesset members that are not terrorists.
Your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Please say why Hezbollah considered terrorist. Isn't it the military branch of the Lebanese government? No, there's a paramilitary wing of Hezbollah, but Hezbollah obviously is a part of the fucking parliament. Like, they are among, they are a part of the 128 seats in the Lebanese parliament. They're like, it's like blowing up, Democrat politicians or some shit. It's crazy. Also, I fucking, this guy is, I literally missed this guy being insanely fucking racist, and also missed the top of the hour ad break, which I'm running now. Okay.
And according to your website, you're also saying no, can you?
No, I can say no. I can say yes.
But
what
you
I can
haven't.
She's literally saying no. And he's like, but I don't believe you because you're Arab. By the way, that's already a loaded question, because the answer, you can't have like an honest answer in that situation. Because like, you can't have an honest answer in that question, because everyone is automatically under the assumption everyone is automatically under the assumption that like these are fucking terror cells and they're bad and they're Arab and they're Muslim and they're scary and they want to bomb America. So like you can't even have a normal fucking conversation about this shit. Okay? So, especially as an Arab person, you know, good luck.
Say is
You just
your
can't
line
make
of
yourself do
questioning.
it. Do you
Senator.
support or oppose Iran and their hatred of Jews?
Again, I'm going to emphasize Iran.
Oh. I like that he's also, now he's like, what about Iran and their Jew hatred? I can't tell you what he deserves, you know? I wonder if we'll ask, do you support Saudi Arabia?
On Hezbollah, Hamas, none of them is going to this
You can't bring
discussion.
yourself to say no, can
Sir,
you?
I don't support.
It's real simple.
Excuse me. I'm going to,
Ian,
if I may, as a Muslim woman, sir, I'm going to tell you I do not support Iran. But what I will tell you is that this conversation.
I'm running out of time. I'm
Okay.
sorry. You called our decision to cut funding. You called our decision to cut fund. Well, first, what's the United Nations Relief and Works Agency?
It's UNRWA, which is
Yeah.
the institution that exists to provide services and aid to the nearly 6 million Palestinian refugees.
And you called our decision to cut funding for them, quote, an incredible moral failure, close quote.
That is absolutely correct. But again, I would suggest that conversation
And
is about foreign policy.
we did that because 9 UNRWA staff members were fired for actually helping Hamas on October 7th. Isn't that the case?
I don't believe that that's correct in terms
Let
of.
me ask you one more time. You support Hamas, don't you?
I'm not going to say what I think. I'm not going to say what I believe is truly just to happen to him. But you can't stop me from thinking it. You know, I'm thinking it. I mean, this is just pure, unadulterated, unrestricted, insane levels of bigotry. Like, he is behaving like a fucking, like, Reddit debate lord or some shit. It is reprehensible, vile, it's disgusting. It is, he's like one step removed from saying that, you know, you did 9/11 to some random Arab woman. Okay? Ironic considering that this is a committee hearing on combating fucking hate crimes, which is now turned into doing more hate crimes. Turns out the Senate Judiciary hearing was about doing hate crimes. All I wish for is justice. I wish for a better future. I wish for karmic justice.
You
Sir.
support UNRWA and Hamas, don't you?
Sir,
Please.
I think it's exceptionally disappointing that you're looking at an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support
you can't
Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas
You don't
or
support
any.
UNRWA You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a.
That's so crazy because she has said it, but because she's not a human being to you, you're not there to hear what she has to say.
Get an Arab American witness before you and saying you support Hamas.
You know what's disappointing to me?
I do not support Hamas.
Bring yourself
I do
to
not
say
support Hamas.
You don't
or
support UNRWA. You don't support Hamas. You don't.
I was very clear in my support for UNRWA.
Hezbollah, and you don't support Iran. You should hide your head in a bag.
Your time has expired. Please, Ms. Berry, I'm going to allow you to respond to anyone or all.
Dick Durbin, you shouldn't have censured him right there. Like, what are we doing here? Isn't that your fucking job? Don't you have any powers at your disposal to be like, hey, man, maybe this is a stain on the greatest deliberative body that has ever existed, the fucking Senate. You know, that's the way they used to promote it.
All those questions at this point.
Senator Durbin, thank you very much for holding this hearing and for elevating the issue of hate crime. It's regrettable that as I sit here, have experienced the very issue that we're attempting to deal with today. The introduction of foreign policy is not how we keep Arab Americans or Jewish Americans or Muslim Americans or Black people or Asian Americans, anybody safe. This has been regrettably a real disappointment, but very much an indication of the danger to our democratic institutions that we're in now. And I deeply regret that, and I do hope that my testimony today has been helpful to understanding the need to respond to hate.
Over the weekend, I went to a synagogue in my hometown of Springfield. There was a bar mitzvah for a dear friend of mine. I couldn't help but notice the security guards that were posted for this bar mitzvah. In addition, I went to a meeting where a dear friend of mine, a Jewish friend of mine in Chicago, she's been my friend and worked for me for 40 years, was almost in tears over the anti-Semitism that she has witnessed. She was wearing a Star of David around her neck. And she said, I do that.
What is going on? He's like, hey, nice of you with your anecdotes about, well, not even an anecdote. Love that you fucking came. By the way, thank you, Barry Balls, for the 100 community gifted subs. I'm in the midst of fucking watching American Congress rip an Arab Muslim woman to shreds at a fucking committee hearing held specifically to, you know, combat hate. I apologize to the chatters who keep fucking repeating that I got 100 gifted subs, but now is not the time, you think? Maybe for me to acknowledge that and celebrate it? Shut the fuck up, chatters. Thank you. Thank you, Barry Balls, for the 100 gifted subs. Bro! I can't understand how we're just moving on from what just took place at the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on combating hate crimes, where a sitting senator did hate crimes back to back, like sequential. He comboed hate crimes against an Arab woman. This is insane.
Because I won't give up. I won't give up. I thought about it for this hearing, but I also thought about Wadia, a 6-year-old boy. I have a 5-year-old granddaughter. I love her like life itself. I cannot imagine this poor little boy answering the door and losing his life because he's Palestinian. My God, we can't say those things
As
that
his
I've just said in the
constituent.
same sentence without some people saying, oh, you've just chosen sides. I'm not choosing sides here.
He's talking about one of the first Islamophobic attacks that took place when a landlord fucking stabbed his tenant to death.
Except for the side of, I hope, common decency and democracy. We've got to have this conversation. We've got to do it in a civilized manner. I regret some of the things that were said today at this hearing, but we are a free nation, and that's what happens in a democracy. As sad and as disquieting as it may be, that is part of it. The title of today's hearing was inspired by Dr. King's.
By the way, he said your head should be in a bag. Here's Zaid Jilani. A week ago, Ted Cruz posted an image claiming that Haitian immigrants were devouring people's cats, a claim that has been boosted by neo-Nazi groups who marched in Springfield. Now he's upset about anger and hate, especially anti-Semitism, if you believe
but when
that.
it comes to anti-Semitism, the Democrats have a problem. I would note, this is occurring in blue states with blue governors because the Democrat Party is terrified of the pro-Hamas wing of their party. In states like Texas and Florida, we don't allow this. At the University of Texas, when violent protesters threatened Jewish students, police officers arrived and arrested them. That's what happened when you enforce the law. Every Republican member of this committee asked the chairman to hold a hearing on anti-Semitism in February. And yet we don't get a hearing on anti-Semitism. We get a hearing generically on hate because this administration, and this is the kind of anger and hate that is encouraged. You're now seeing the hate manifesting right here. Interestingly enough,
Please, the committee will come to order. The senator is recognized to finish his remarks.
so we now have
I hate this country, dog. Straight up. Like, I hate our politicians so much. I fucking hate our politicians so much. Oh my God. Oh, we're such a fucking bad nation. We are such a goddamn shit stain on this fucking planet. Just a parasitic force of evil, dude. Holy fuck. Our politicians are such godless, soulless, bloodless fucking monsters. Every single one of them. It's gross, dude.
a demonstration of anti-Semitism. We have a demonstration of the hate. Rabbi Goldfelder, let me ask you, has the Biden administration cut off the funding of any of the colleges that have allowed this hate? Have they indicted anyone for funding these violent protests? Have they indicted the people paying for the matching tents? Or have they sat there silently, and have the universities sat there silently while their students are terrified to go to class?
They have not indicted anyone.
They have not indicted anyone. Has any university had their funding cut off for allowing this sort of violent intimidation?
Not a single university.
The violent intimidation is saying that our tuition shouldn't go to planting and defending an apartheid regime, by the way. The unimaginable violence. This apartheid regime that has nothing to do with Judaism, mind you. But hey, we'll bring a fucking rabbi here to be like, no, you don't understand, actually. All Jews love Israel. Okay? And it's objectively anti-Semitic to say anything but the fact that Israel has to keep prosecuting this genocide. The only violence that has taken place in these fucking protests is the counter protesters have come in and beat the shit out of the student protesters. We've been there. I went and I visited the encampments. I showed you what it looked like. Scumbags, all of these people. Counter protesters and fucking cops. That's the only time actual violence took place.
I can tell you this. Next year,
Senator's
if there
time
is a
has
Republican
expired.
majority on this committee, you will see real leadership. And next year, if there's a Republican administration, you will see people prosecuted for this sort of violence. This is being tolerated with the looking away, the blind eye being turned from this administration and this Department of Justice. And it is utterly disgraceful. And under Title VI, any university that allows this should have their funding cut off.
Senator's time has expired.
Once again, this is supposed to be combating hate, and the only type of hate that they perceive is just saying that America's ally Israel is an apartheid state, which is objective reality, and is doing a genocide, which is also objective reality. That's anti-Semitic hate. Not the Jews will not replace us guys marching to the fucking streets. Those are very fine people. How dare you? How dare you? You know, those are some very fine Nazis, man. How dare you? This is fascism, dude. Largest U.S. cities saw record hate crimes surge. Yeah. The problem with the hate crime, data now is that the most the most ADL is the institution that tracks all the anti-Semitism data. Unless they're getting this directly from the police, which is crazy to say. Well, I guess it says Houston saw 85 hate crimes in 2023, a massive 193% increase from the year before. The problem with the anti-Semitism hate crime database is that if you say fucking Palestine, free Palestine, it's logged as a goddamn hate crime. If you say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that's a hate crime. In New York, anti-Jewish hate crimes rose 12.6%, while Los Angeles saw a 48% jump, and Chicago experienced a 10% increase. Anti-Jewish hate crimes, which spiked in the fall of 2023, following the violent conflict in the Middle East, have supplanted Black Americans as the most targeted group in America's 10 largest cities. Of note, anti-Black and anti-gay hate crimes were the second and third most common. Anti-Jewish hate crime is likely to reach a record when national data is released by the FBI this year. Anti-Muslim hate crime, which also had significant spikes in the fall in larger cities, likely will hit its highest since the middle of the last decade. If you were to fucking talk about like anti-Muslim hate crimes, okay? What constitutes as a hate crime that is anti-Semitic is much different than what constitutes a hate crime that is Islamophobic. For example, what that senator did in that meeting is a hate crime. Okay? And a real hate crime, not like saying free Palestine is considered a hate crime. But by a lot of standards, by a lot of metrics, what he did would not be considered a hate crime. And what those protesters that were doing in the seats saying free Palestine, that would be considered a hate crime. Just so you understand how this fucking data looks like. I did read it. It said anti-Muslim hate crimes also jumped 22%, 40%, and 300% in the same cities, respectively. Anti-Muslim hate crimes jumped 300% in Chicago. Where are the hearings? Bro, they're doing a hate crime hearing, and the first thing that they chirp about is literally fucking doing more hate crimes. You're conflating hate speech and hate crimes here. You're getting mixed up. Dude, what are you talking about? The ADL definition considers saying free Palestine to be a hate incident, okay? A hate crime, an anti-Semitic hate crime. I know what I'm saying. Yes. Hate speech is often a hate crime. It doesn't have to be like, you know, stabbing a person and saying that like you're stabbing them for their background or something.